Protoss.
Command me, by your will. Ula Sadari. None shall stand. Antara Tassaka. La Adan Aktu. Base is under attack. Base is under attack. Your probes are under attack. Base is under attack.
Annihilation commencing. Prismatic core online. It shall be done.
Oracle perceiving.
Systems at full. Phase crystals charged.
Dimension.
Annihilation commencing. Channel the light of Idol. Calibrate void lenses. Ikuda alarm.
Dimension.
Mineral field depleted.
It shall be done. We are full power. Under Check this vessel. Zaknaku.
Oracle perceiving. The threads of fate lie there. We interpret. An Eridine vision.
Pass Arasha. We are full power.
Dimensional strength. Harmonize.
Phase crystals charged. Ikuda alarm. Channel the light of Under
What up, Mara brother? How you doing?
this vessel.
Oh yeah, baby. All day, day. He tried to get creative,
We are Zak.
but he did it in a standard way.
Phase crystal charged. Zaknaku. This vessel. Channel the light of Idol. We are full power.
Oh. So this is what happened. He's a random player, so I don't know what he is. He doesn't know what I am, so we kind of meet in the middle. I don't know if he's a Zerg, Protoss, or Terran. Usually I make a pilot at the low ground, but in this case, just to be cautious, build at the high ground. I learned how to play versus Zerg with the high ground. It's not as easy as the low ground, but I still know how to manage to do that, but you have to harass. So, go to his base. And no expo yet. We don't know what it is yet. It could be Zerg, but you know, where's the drone? There's no drone yet, but it could be coming up. But it could be Protoss too, but there's no probe that's scouted. So no probe that's scouting. It could only be possibly Terran or Zerg, but most likely it could be Terran or a Protoss that just doesn't scout. So there's still scenarios. So because of that, I have to put a pylon here. In case it's Terran, I could do that. If it's Protoss, then I go up and cancel the pylon and make the wall up in the inside, or harass on the inside. If it's Zerg, I'll find out with the creep. I'll go up and I'll see the creep and go, okay, Zerg. So there's different ways to do it. This one is Zerg, but he found that I had a pylon. And so he's like, hey, what's going on? And so here I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? It's Zerg. Never mind. I'll make him think that I'm not cannon rushing. And I'll just pylon block it. That kind of confuses him a little bit, because he's like, wait, why would he cancel this if he's going to make cannons? What is he going to do? Was he going to pylon? Was he just going to pylon block? Was he going to... I knew he was going that way, so I'm going to give it to him. Now this should have been a tail, because this probe shouldn't have been this way. This probe should have went around to the back, but because I wasn't sure what race it was by that time he was going this way, I was like, okay, fuck it. Gotta get over there. I could have cut through, but by that time I didn't know where the Overlord was. Because I didn't know where the Overlord was, I wasn't sure if I cut through I would spot him or he would spot me. So I figured I'd just go around through the edges. It's the best thing I got. But I did see the Overlord. The Overlord did, possibly saw me, but I'm not sure if he saw me, because I tried to distract him with the gas. I said, okay, I need to go take his gas so he sees what I'm doing here, so he might not see the dot, if that's the case. So distracted him for the visuals, so he could look at that. In this case, yeah, he was looking at that. He was looking at the probe. I saw the pool, it was up. So now that my pylon's up already, I can go down and quickly make cannons before the lings come. So we go straight down here, cancel the gas, save the money, and make 3 cannons for the meantime. And then I'm gonna make my pylon, and then once I make the pylon, I need to double down on this one. I don't want him to think I'm just cannon rushing, so I want to put a gateway down. And the gateway is gonna confuse him a little bit, because the gateway is gonna make him think I'm being aggressive here, because there's a gateway. I was like, okay, well, he's got a follow-up. His follow-up is a gateway instead of just cannons, and that's it. Because if it's just cannons, he might be cannoning my other base, maybe, or I might need to scout it. But if he's got a gateway, it's like, do they want to attack from the front? So, so now I put a pylon down, because I only have 1 pylon here. Need to make sure 2 pylons, but he took off. So he took off, and I'm not sure what's going on. Now I go, okay, he's pulling back. Let me cancel my pylon, and then let's cannon up this area. Now from here, the hatchery comes up, and the link should have been like, oh shit, I should have been over there. But now it's too late. I keep my probe right here just to make sure that there's lings or drones coming out. If there's drones, I'll be able to tell and follow them, or be able to know there's another base. If there's lings, I know he wants to attack me or possibly break out. Could be overlords, then that means roach ravagers are going to be quicker. So in this case it's lings, so he wants to break out or do some harass. Normally they go over to your side of the map, but that's not happening. And then because of the scenario of me not having the bottom position correct, and the fact that I'm putting pressure, it allows me to get an expansion in most cases. It allows me to get an expansion at an expo, because they can't read your income. They can't read what you're spending, how you're spending it. So right now it's more like, oh, he's using it to attack me. So he's going on 1 base. And because it's 1 base, he assumes it's 1 base, I could actually hide this base for a little longer, because he's assuming this is where my money's gonna go, not anywhere else. So I make my base, get my gases, and then get my stargates. I was gonna get my stargates over here on this side of the map, but I noticed the roaches got here a little earlier, so I have to make it a defensive and make it over here. So you'll notice that I saw the roaches. I'm like, okay, never mind. Stargates on the main base. So now, my Zealot is just to go. The reason why I made a Zealot is just to peek, but also just kind of go around and see if there is another base. If I saw the drone, because if he made a drone and I saw it leave, the Zealot can go and mess with it for a little while whittling it down little by little. So I know it's Road Travagers now. I don't know if it's going to be Nidus Worm Road Travagers or just straight Road Travagers or Road Travager expand. Quick expand, so it depends. So in this case, he's broke out. I'm getting my Stargates ready. He has to break both containments because he wants to take both bases. So instead of going to my base, he has to go over here and break both places and macro up. Probe's there, so he's killed it. There shouldn't be another probe out there because this probe is right here. If there wasn't a probe, question is, where did the probe go? You know, where did the probe go? If there's no base right here yet and there's a probe out on the map, let's go scout the map. But he killed it, so it eliminates the thought process of, oh, there's another probe out there and making a base. Those are just little mental things. Then he's gonna go take another base. In this case, he's going 2 base, going mass queens. Queens do pretty good at pushing off void raids, so it's okay in a sense. But because I'm going for void raids early, I know that his hatchery is barely starting. I know that because he just killed my structures, so I gotta go over there and whittle it down a little bit. Now, the reason why you go over there right away is because there's no creep yet. And if there's no creep, it's harder for the queens to go down here and push you away. If they had creep, they could push you away eventually really quick. And then you have to kind of only do a little bit of damage and pull back, which is not the best thing. So that's why you want to do right away to kill to make sure the creep's not there yet. So we took that out, right? There's always going to be a third base. Whenever Zergs lose a base or feel behind, they're going to not just take 1 base, but they're going to take 2 so they can get back in. So always expect the second hatch, the third hatch, and the second hatch. That's why I don't go inside and do any damage inside. I'm worried about just keeping them on minimal bases. So we go over here, and he knows that I'm going this way now, so he's going to go and defend it, try to defend it. Before, he was over here just waiting for the void rays to go in and try to like kill the player, but with the queens you can't, so you always got to know that. So you always just whittle them down. Go over here. Now, the beauty of killing the hatchery or trying to kill the hatchery before the hatchery comes up is that the queens can't heal it up. There's no healing until the hatchery comes up. So until then, he has to just deal with getting his base drained or denied. Sometimes he'll have to cancel at the last minute because he can't transfuse. Now he was transfusing, but it was already pretty low, so there's not enough healing time for it to do its thing and then have the queens do their thing. So now we got the void raids. We got to clean the house a little bit. We already killed 2 bases or denied 2 bases. We know that they're going queens, and queens is a pretty good opener for void raid counter. So now we have to switch it over to oracles. Oracles can counter the hydras. They could also counter the queens. The fact that they're going queens lets me know that the chances of hydras are way higher. Mutas, not so much, because that's just the way they usually do it. They usually play that way. They're very comfortable in going hydras more than mutas, so they'll go into hydra play with that many queens, and then they'll try to creep up and then keep the void raids and stuff out. But you're not gonna show them that you're getting oracles. You're not showing them that, so all you're doing is harassing them constantly with void raids. The void raids also help you to keep your base alive at the top right. You also get a cannon, maybe a few, just to make sure if there is scouting lings, you don't just have to like run with the probes or, you know, have to fight and lose probes. So you always got to make sure you have a little defense, just for scouting SCVs. They can come in ones, twos, fours, six. You know, some people scout in different numbers, and you don't want to risk about 6 lings coming in to scout and go, oh shit. So okay, he's trying to get a scout out. He saw that he went up and saw that I'm on 1 base so far, and then I have cannons contained, so I look like a 1 base all-in player right now. I could be on 2 bases, but the likelihood, based on how aggressive I've been, cannons, a gateway, it's hard for them to measure what exactly I'm wasting it, because I still could be doing a 1 base. It could be gateways. It could be some type of, you know, full on, you know, all in. And so the Zerg has to think about it. Like, what is he going to do? What is he doing? And most of the time, hidden expansion is not always on the top of the list, especially against the aggressive player, because the aggressive player is known to be constantly aggressive to kill the player. So you kind of, aggressive players tend to look like or be like all-in players. They just want to win the game. They just want to beat the players as fast as possible. But the fact that I'm not I'm an aggressive player, but I double down while expanding. I'm not always trying to go for the kill. I'm just going for the hurt. And that confuses a player, because they don't know when you're committing all in, and they don't know when you're passively stopping the aggression and going into macro play. So they don't understand when you're hitting that point. So there's like a little bit of like question marks. So we go back after we killed all the Roach Ravager threat on our side. We know that we just they lost a hatch, so possibly a hatch will be started, or should be starting. I'm not sure if it's halfway, 3/4 of the way. I just know that I have to go find out what time frame it looks like. And when I come over here, I saw, oh, okay, halfway by the time I get there. So that's good. It's not just creeped up already where the queens can just go over there. So I can kind of harass this area a little bit. And like I said, because you can't, because the queens can't heal it while it's being built, this is the reason why I rush over here. Because if they had a lot of energy, then they'll be keep transfusing it, or just healing up until they push me away. So in this case, they can't do that. They have no choice but to cancel. So now I see a lot more numbers of queens, and usually I expect them to go back over here, and then I'll come and pick off this hatchery again, because they usually make it right back to back. Once they cancel it, they'll make it again. So I always like to come back and just check. But this kind of tells me there might not be a hatchery yet, because he wouldn't stay here if there was one building over here. He would go over here too. But we got to check anyways, because this is already defended, and we got to keep them moving. If I would have saw that, I would have been able to snipe it. But we find it a little bit later. But for now, we got to go inside to check if it's going to be hydras, mutas. What are you going to really do? So you got to kind of poke in. And then I see a double hatch, which makes sense. That's where the queen counts could kick in. And I'm just going to kind of try to whittle this out a little bit, if I could take it out. I'm not going to be too greedy. I'm not going to just try to like go all in and kill it and lose my void raids. So the objective is to just kind of like keep them working. Came over here, I did see this finally, so I'm like, okay, you are up. So he's running down here to save it. Remember, he can't heal it up. He can't heal it up until it's done. So he took a little risk trying to kill the void raids and leaving it up and thinking I was gonna pull away in time by bullying me. He wanted to bully me out of this area and hope that he can get his hatchery continually going up. And so right here, he happened to lose it because he doubled down on the fact that he thought I could pull away. But I know my energy, so I pull back, and then I go back over to the one that I weakened. Now, I don't care about this base just yet because 2 bases on 1 base is a little more threatening for like a big hit. So you want to take down, if you could, at least 1 hatchery. Usually it's the one exposed in the outsides. Normally they put it a little bit exposed. In this case, it's somewhat exposed. We go. Now the queens are running around. We got the droning. Finally, we got a base for the queens. They're happy. And you try to make another base. So you try to double down by macroing. I'll just take, 4 bases, and I'll just keep them from attacking, and I'll be able to have hydras, and then I'll have a big macro army. So that's what he's trying to do. He's like, oh, well, he still doesn't have a base. He's still on 1 base. Now, in this case, these void raids are so annoying that they become very big magnets of attention. So because they're really annoying, the queens already want to deal with those void raids. They want them dead. So you want to show them that the void raids are right over to a certain area. So there they go. You let them assume this is the only spot that you are, and they're gonna move over here because they know that you're gonna try to pick them off a little bit over here. So the queens are gonna go keep the queens over here. They're gonna stay right here, and then the oracles come in and just wreck the drone line that's coming up at the natural. And you take out that hatchery because the oracles are that good. And then from here, you could decide to switch it over to Phoenix play, Gateway play, Robo. You can go ground now and go into your macro play and kind of like play it a little bit more creatively without having just a swarm on you, and you have to play it very simple, basic, but that's why I'm getting gateways. I'm switching over from air to ground, and then later on, once I'm on ground, I'll switch it back to air later on. The reason why you switch it back to air later on is because they eventually want to go broodlords against against your ground, so you switch it on them again. And so that's kind of how you do it. You get ground again, they start getting comfortable, and then they get to broodlords thinking that they're going to counter your ground, and then they forget you have 3 stargates and you've just been pumping void raids, hitting them, hiding them in the base. So when he's ready to come in for that big broodlord army attack, the void raids take care of it. So that's that's how this build works. And so then he laughed instead of giving me the GG. And that's a bit insulting to laugh. So, pretty much saying that's silly, that's dumb, that's a joke, LOL. And then I just gave him the easy, and yeah, broke him down. He didn't know what to do. He tried every Zerg trick in the book that he could. GG.